Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday today. So we have quite a few things to talk about. Obviously, President Trump signed an executive order to allow crypto on 401k, basically, profit sharing plans. So that's great news. That pumped Bitcoin up quite nicely. Bitcoin now is positive for the month of August, which is also nice. We'll see how much of a pump we get going forward here. We also have news from Cipher and CleanSpark reporting their quarterly results, and we also have Hive providing their operational update for July, and they get to 15 exahash. So that's great news there. We'll take a look at all that stuff. We'll take a look at what the miners did today as well, what Bitcoin did, and we'll get into the news and get into Q&A, okay? But as always, you guys know the drill here. Not financial advice for tuning only. Please do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's get into it here with what's going on with Bitcoin and the miners. So if we look at Bitcoin here really quick, actually I'm going to go here. There we go. Makes it a little bit bigger. We saw Bitcoin having a nice day today. It's down a little bit in the new day for Friday, but we were up 2.16% on Bitcoin. We closed at 117,515, which was nice. A nice little pump there. And if we look at the monthly chart on it, we are green on the month right now. We are up approximately 1.02%, which is kind of nice. So that's looking pretty good here. Miners, on the other hand, had a different story there. Markets were also kind of mixed as well. Dow Jones was down. NASDAQ was up a little bit. S&P was down. And Russell 2000 was also down a little bit. A lot of the miners today were following Russell 2000 from what I could see. And we'll take a look at that here shortly here. We can see here, take a look at this on the 15-minute chart here for the Russell. You saw this nice pump here in the morning, right? Things were looking pretty good, and then things just went down, and then we kind of bounced, and we kind of came back up towards the end of the day here. And remember this chart, this pattern, the way it kind of looks here? We're going to see a bunch of these miners actually do the same thing here. Ethereum here for the day. Let's take a look at that one really quick as well. Ethereum was up nicely today, getting close to its high here of 3,941 recently at least. It got to 3,111. It was up 6.18%, so that one did really good here. And then let's take a look at the miners here. So the miners, like I said, if you look at the chart here on the 15-minute chart, compare that to the Russell, which is right there. Right, remember this chart. Huge pump here in the morning, and then we went down and finally went back up here. Bitfarms, kind of similar to that, right? Went way up, came back down, and finally pumped in the late hours there. So Bitfarms was up 0.79% on the day, closed at $1.28. BitD here, similar story, right? Pumped in the morning, came back down, and then went back up. That one was down 0.23% and closed at $12.94. Kang, different story altogether on this one. Kind of slightly similar, I guess you'd say. Pump in the morning, then it was kind of flat, going down and then back up a little bit here. Cipher, also similar story there as well. Pumped and then it came back down here. Cipher was down 6.53%. That was mainly because of their quarterly results. We'll take a look at those here in a second. CleanSpark, same thing, right? Huge pump in the morning, had a nice being in the green, and then same thing as the Russell 2000. It just came down and followed suit here. So some of the miners are definitely following that. CORZ, not so much. CORZ was up 1.7% throughout the day. Hive was down 0.94% as well. But that one followed the Russell 2000 as well. Hut 8, similar story here. Huge pump, came back down and back up. IREN, to a lesser degree here, but it also followed it pretty well, right? Up, down, and then back up towards the end of the hour. So that one was up 1.36% towards the end of the day. Mara was up 0.38%. Similar style was happening with the Russell. Riot, a little bit more muted, but still the same thing here. Was down 0.69%. And Wolf, down 0.408%. Really similar to what happened here on the Russell. So it's kind of interesting that some of these guys, at least today from what I saw, were really, really close to what the Russell did, surprisingly. All right, MicroStrategy was up nicely, 4.85% there. Let's see, Galaxy was up 2.85. Block was up 0.95. Coin was up 2.37. Let's switch this to the daily. That way we can see where we are. MetaPlanet was up 1.54. Exodus was 6.74. Semler was up 5.27. And this one is, let's see if that one loads. It's not loading. Can't remember what that one is. That one is Nexon. There we go. Nexon, and then we had Phoenix Game being down. Small miners were also down for the most part. Kind of mixed here. Some were down, some were in the green. Miner ETFs were down for the most part except for BitQ. And then the Ethereum holders here. BitDigital was down 14.24%. Not sure why, considering that Ethereum was up actually. Let's see if there's any news on why that one. This is from July 29th, so there's no recent news. BTCS was up 7.14, BMNR was up 7.3%, GAME was down 2.2%, and SBAT was up 5.51%. So that's the way those played out. Bitcoin dominance here has been coming down. We're down to 60.98% right now as it is. And the miners here in the after hours right now, BitDeer's up a little bit, 0.39% on the new day for Friday. Pre-hours basically. Bitfarms is up a little bit as well, 0.7%. Kango is actually down 1%. Cipher is up nicely, 4.52%, a little bounce there. Cleanspark is up just a little bit here, 0.65%. Core down 0.42%. Hive Digital is up 1.43%. Hut 8 up about 0.75% there. IREN's up another 0.22%. Mara is up just a little bit, 0.19%. Riot Platforms is up 0.26%. And TerraWolf is up 1.21%. So that's how we're stacking right now for the miners. And then Bitcoin, like I said, is up 1.41% in August right now. So we turned that green finally a week in, more or less, in the month of August. And that's kind of what I was thinking was going to happen eventually, that we would turn green here, start out in the red, and we'll go green here. The news that Trump, with the presidential executive order there, allowing crypto and other things being allowed on the 401k profit sharing plans, I think that was a nice boost in Bitcoin today and others as well. So that was nice to see. So I think we're going to have a pretty good month here of August. We'll see. I'd like to at least get to like 10% plus for the month, but we'll see if we can get there. Bitcoin ETF inflows from the big guys here. We had a positive day yesterday, 91.6 million, with BlackRock buying 41.9 million there. Today we're also positive 120 million here. We'll see where BlackRock comes in at that point, but it should be at least a new start to seeing more green than we have been seeing here. A little bit more red here recently on that one. Okay, quickly let's get into Cipher Mining here. They obviously provided their quarterly results here for Q2. Second quarter 2025 revenue was 44 million and non-GAAP adjusted earnings of 30 million. Black Pearl Phase 1 exceeds growth targets, bringing Cipher's total self-mining capacity to 16.8 exahash and on track to deliver 23.5 exahash by the end of the third quarter. So that's still on track there. That's good. Finance operational highlights here, something that I wanted just to point out. Continuing HPC tenant interest at Barbara Lake site. I didn't get a chance to listen to the conference call there. That's something we'll probably do over the weekend here. But I've heard some excerpts of it. Not excerpts, it was more or less people just writing about it. And they seem to be pretty optimistic that they're going to get a deal. So we'll see if that pans out. But I got to listen to the whole thing anyways. If you guys listened to it, let me know if you guys heard that in there as well. And then developing design and construction plans for Black Pearl Phase 2, which envisions 150 megawatts of infrastructure designed to support both hydro Bitcoin mining and HPC compute applications. So they're looking to do direct-to-chip cooling here, right? Which is kind of nice because then you can do both. You could do HPC and you could do Bitcoin mining as well. And I think that's the way that the industry is going to be going forward with that. You're going to see a lot more of those Bitcoin mining machines that are like the 2U or 4U, whatever those are going to be, rack mountable, and that's just going to be the path forward, I think, in time. There's still a lot of, obviously, sites that still want the older setups with the miners. So there's going to be some optionality here going forward. They also have a pipeline of 2.6 gigawatts of site capacity, and then Q2 net loss of 46 million or 12 cents per share, and adjusted earnings of 30 million or 8 cents per diluted share. Okay. So if we look at Cipher here, Cipher right now reported 393 million shares, so shares did increase quite a bit there. Market cap now is 1.9 billion here for them. They've had a really great run here in the last 12 weeks, up 65%. Even from 8 weeks ago, they're up 26%. From 4 weeks ago, they were down 16%, and last week they were down 23%. On that one, we talked about obviously their operations here a day or two ago, so we won't go over that. We'll take a look at their quarterly results here. So quarterly results came in at 43.57 million. So they're saying 44 million. The current quarter that we're in right now in Q3, I have them about right now estimated around 57 million. So that'll be at least a nice increase as they increase more of their hash rate going forward. That'll be good. Last 4 quarters operating cost minus depreciation was 24.4 million. So that was actually pretty good. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin came in at 33,500 for them. Bitcoin mined quarterly. They were down a little bit here in Q2, 458 roughly for self-mining. Debt to equity, lower is obviously better there. 0.36 still really low, no problems there. Current ratio, higher is better, 4.18. So they're in good, healthy position right now with their balance sheet. Total current assets, 216 million. Total current liabilities, 52 million. So that's looking pretty good there. Going down here to the operations, we'll take a look at some of these metrics here in a second. We'll go over those. Assets did increase to 219 million over the 154, so that's good. Total assets also increased to 1 billion from 913, so that's good. Liabilities also went down to 52 million from 138, so that's good. Total liabilities increased to 269 from 178. Big increase on that was long-term borrowings net, 167 million there. They got increased. And then total liabilities and stockholder equity came in at 1 billion basically. Prior to that was 913, so a nice increase there. Revenues, like we talked about, 43.5 million in revenue there roughly. And then cost of revenues was 15.3 million. What else do we have here? Compensation benefits was 15.6, slight increase, not much, about 1.3 million on that. General administrative also increased just a little bit to 9 million here, so that isn't too bad. Depreciation went up also a little bit, 44 million there. Change in fair value of derivative assets, up 15 million. Change in fair value of power sales. Power sales, they got credit, 1.3 million there. What else do we have here that's kind of important to take a look at? Gains on fair value of Bitcoin, 17 million. And let's see here. Total cost and operating expenses came in at 88.8 million. So cost of revenue was negative 45 million, right? They generated only 43 million. Big cost there was obviously depreciation, amortization. And what else was the big cost there? Just the cost of revenue and compensation benefits on those two things. So they still have a ways to go to get to scale before they can possibly, get a positive EPS without the HODL impact. But even the HODL impact didn't really help them out here either. Their costs are a little high right now. We'll take a look at those in a second there. Going down here, other income, not much there to talk about really. Loss before taxes was negative 44 million. Net gain loss was negative 45 million. Right number of shares, 375 million shares was the diluted. Basic and diluted, that was negative 12 cents on that. Even if we take out depreciation out of this stuff, there still would be just negative, basically like 0.001 something per share. Nothing major there. All right. So, I mean, balance sheet wise, asset wise, and things like that, liability wise, they're looking really good. Pretty healthy there. Not too concerned about that. But here's what we have. We talked about cost to mine Bitcoin, right? 33,000 roughly for them right now. Debt to equity, talked about that along with current ratio. Book value of equity assets is 748 million. Price to book ratio 2.5. Enterprise value is about 1.9 billion there. EBITDA came in at, I got a negative 1 million there roughly. And then EV to beta was negative. Stock-based compensation, here we go. Stock-based compensation was 10,493,000. And their, let's see here, where's their cost? General administrative cost was, and compensation was 24 million, it looks like. Right? Do I have that right? Which includes compensation benefits and general administrative. Yeah, so those 24 million, 10 million of that was stock-based compensation out of it. So if you look at all of that, general administrative compensation was, minus compensation was 14.2 million. And then that's 32% of the revenues there. That's still really high. That's got to be below 10%. So they definitely need to grow more in their Bitcoin mining operations. And they need to possibly get a customer for their HPCI potential there. That would definitely help out. Depending on the deal, though, what kind of deal they get. So they still have a lot of work to go going forward here, I think. It's gotten better, right? Q4 was 61% of their cost was general administrative and compensation in there. So that's gotten at least a little bit better there. But definitely still need to improve going forward as well. And I think with them getting to 23 exahash here by the end of the Q3, that should help out. But I think they still need to double that from where they are right now in order to get to scale, I believe, if not even higher by that time. All right, so that's it on that one. As far as the rating and where are they right now as far as price-wise, I have updated the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in right now. So based on that, I have in between 367 and 550. They are at 487. They look fairly valued to me. If you look forward to the next 12 months using the revenue from July, I'm in between 518 to 777. They look slightly undervalued at that point, right? But they're also getting a little bit more value on their HPCI potential, I think, than their operations. But that's just my take on it, right? So I think they still have some upside potential here, and especially if they continue to grow and get an HPCI deal, there's possibly even more upside as well at that point. All right, so that's it on Cipher. Let's take a look at CleanSpark, and then we'll get into Hive as well. CleanSpark, I was a little disappointed there. They put in a lot more costs in depreciation kind of wiped out any possibility gains of them having a positive EPS without the HODL impact. So they were just short by like $2 million on it, I think. But here's what we got here. So CleanSpark reports their third quarter financial results, right? Their end of the fiscal year is going to be this quarter, which is going to be at the end of September. So we won't get those results probably until, I'm guessing, November sometime, but that's still a ways out. So here's what we got. 198.6 million quarterly revenue, up 91% from prior year. Net income of 257.4 million, 90 cents basic EPS. I had them at, I believe, $1.12, but I didn't take into account that, well, I talked about it. I said that the stock-based compensation revenues or general administrative compensation, all that stuff, and depreciation as well could bring it down. And sure enough, it did. More than I thought it would. Going down here, what do we got here? Financial highlights really quick. Quarterly revenues were 198.6 million, an increase of 94 million or 90% from the 104.1 million for the same period last year. Net income for the 3 months ended June 30th was 257.4 million or 90 cents per basic share, compared to net income of negative 236 million or $1.03 loss per basic share for the same period last year. Adjusted EBITDA increased to 377.7 million from negative 12.6 million for the same period a year ago. So they've definitely gotten to scale here. It's just maybe a little bit more that they need in order to combat the depreciation, all right, and the compensation there as well a little bit. But we'll look at their numbers here now and go over everything that we know. So shares outstanding, not a lot of dilution here. 281 million shares. There was just a little bit of shares being added on there. I think it was for the stock-based compensation there. Market cap 3 billion there, right? Right now as it is. Performance of the last 12 weeks hasn't been that great. It's been okay. They're up 13.5% from 12 weeks ago. From 8 weeks ago, they're up 6.6, and then 4 weeks ago they're down 17, and last week they're down almost 11.5 plus a little bit on it. Right now, looking at them for the quarterly results here, Q3, like we talked about, 198 million, right, roughly. And the current quarter that we're in, estimated, is about 228 million, so that's looking really good there. Depending on where Bitcoin price goes, it could go up higher or it could go lower as well. So we'll see on that one. And then the cost to mine one Bitcoin minus depreciation came in at 44,000, almost 45,000 for them. Bitcoin mine quarterly increased there, obviously, as well. So we've had 4 quarters of increases there to 2012 there. That's pretty good. And debt to equity lower is obviously better. 0.44, that's really good. Current ratio higher is better, 4.3, so a healthy balance sheet as well. They currently have total current assets of 1.2 billion and total current liabilities of 276 million there on it. Going down here to the actual numbers, we'll get into some of these metrics here in a second. Assets, like we talked about, increased to 1.2 billion from 947 million. Total assets increased to 3.1 billion from 2.6. I mean, that's even, I think, higher than their market cap right now, just a little bit as it is. Current liabilities increased to 276 million from 109 million. The big difference there was current portion of long-term loans payable, 176 million for them. On that one, that was a big increase there. We saw a little bit of a decrease in accrued liabilities and a little bit of an increase in accounts payable as well to 23 million on that one. Total liabilities, let's see, increased to 954 million from 766 million. Big thing on that is obviously the convertible notes, right? 643 million there as it is right now. And then total liabilities and stockholder equity came in at 3.1 billion compared to 2.6. So definitely good growth in that. Revenues, talked about that obviously already. Cost of revenue, exclusive of depreciation and amortization, shown below. So that was 90 million there. For that, professional fees was 3 million, so a little bit of an increase, not much. Payroll went up as well a little bit, about 1.1 million roughly. General administrative went up quite a bit here. They did speak about that. I did listen to the conference call. Not when it was happening. I actually watched the replay of Rex Finance. So thank you to him for actually doing that and posting it out there. I was able to listen to it at that point. They did state, I believe, a lot of this was attributable to their insurance going up because of all the assets that they have now. So that's obviously... they're trying to figure out a way to cut those expenses on that part of it. Let's see, your gain on disposable of assets, 156,000 there as well. What else do we have? Again, on fair value of Bitcoin, so that was an increase of 268 million. And then realized gain loss on sale of digital currency was 94 million on that one. So cost of revenue came in at negative 47 million, 519. At this point, Going down here, operating other expenses, other income was 1.5 million. Recognized gain on Bitcoin collateral was 31 million there. Unrealized gain loss, that's small numbers there. So income loss before income tax benefit to 275 million on the plus side. And when you go down towards everything else, net loss was 251 million. So they got 90 cents per basic share, 78 cents per diluted share. And then you got basic number of shares, 280 million, diluted shares, 325 million on that. And yeah, so that's kind of where we stand up. If we look at them on the revenue side of things and the cost on things, if we take out still the depreciation and amortization, we got 198 million there for revenue. Take the cost of revenues, professional fees, payroll expenses, general administrative as well. We're looking at that point, that was 126 million total for those things combined. All right. So at that point, they are cash flow positive, right, which is good. And then if you obviously include the other things in there, the depreciation, amortization, that got us to the additional 94 million on top of that. That's what kind of pushed things over the line there for us on it. So that was a lot more. That was 78 million the prior quarter, 94 million. That's basically what, 16 million increase roughly, 16 million. And when we did the EPS on them in prior videos as well, I said that they would be somewhere around, right, maybe a positive 15, but we just wiped that out completely with the 16 million being over on it. So that's kind of why I was thinking they could possibly be positive, but having that 16 million additional, that wiped it out completely. So we didn't get a positive EPS from them without the HODL. But other than that, I mean, things are looking pretty good for them. I still think they're going to do very well here. And with them getting to 60 exahash, which is their plan by the end of the year, as well, they have an additional 200 megawatts that's available to them now that they are working to get that done. They're also working with the ASIC suppliers there to increase that going forward with possibly some good deals. We'll see on that. All right, going back up here. Book value of equities, 2.1 billion. Price to book ratio, 1.4. Enterprise value, 2.4. EBITDA, 341 million. EV to beta 7.1, and then debt to EBITDA 2.8. Revenues, like we talked about, 198 million. General administrative compensation plus payroll was 32 million. That was up to 16.59% of that. But if we take out the, this was just the general administrative expense there by itself, that was only 8.34% of the company's revenues. So that's actually pretty good. That went up though. Didn't like seeing that, 6.46%. But that did go up here. I think part of that was the expenses and the insurance and things like that up here at least. But general administrative expenses, that's why they said that went up. So okay, if they can get the costs down on the insurance, that should help out. But still under 10, so I still like seeing that. Stock-based compensation was only 4.4 million for the quarter, which is actually really good here. I think it might be the lowest that I've seen here so far out of those guys. Shares, like I said, increased just a little bit for them. I mean, we increased by what? Roughly maybe, oh gosh, I don't know. What is that, 281 million there? We had 289.943, so what is that, 120,000 roughly shares, something like that. So only 0.05% increase from the prior quarter. And we saw the same thing here this from the prior quarter to that. So I think that's just for stock-based compensation. I think that's what that is. So they're definitely not diluting there. And yeah, other than that, they may need to also grow a little bit more to get to scale to the point where they can cover all those expenses as well, right? Depreciation and stock-based compensation, to have that be included all. But also, we could have just Bitcoin going up to 150,000, 200,000, and then they're going to be fine here. But man, I was really hoping they would be EPS positive without the HODL. They got close. They got close to within like $2 million of that. So it wasn't too bad overall. Still really good quarter, really good growth that we've seen from them, right? Based on the numbers that we have here now, based on the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in, I'm in between 20.59 and 30.88, right? I think on the lower end side of things is definitely doable. And they're at 10.72 right now. That's at least a 2x from where we are roughly. I think it's definitely doable. I think they're definitely way undervalued from where they really should be at this point. If we look forward, right, using the numbers from July figures for revenue, multiplying it times 12 months, I'm in between 24.78 and 37.17. But will they get that kind of love? I hope so, but I don't know. I'd be happy if we get to between 20 and 30 there, right? Depending where Bitcoin goes. But if Bitcoin goes up higher, they should also bounce at that point. Because right now their market cap is less than actually what their assets are, right? 3 billion as it is on that. All right, so that is it for CleanSpark. Overall, pretty good. Slight miss on the EPS for not having the HODL there. And then we'll see. We'll see where they go to later on this year. They're still, like I said, they're targeting 60 exahash plus. We'll see what they get to. And they have not provided any material updates on that. They will say that going forward when they get closer to things. All right, so that's it on that one. Let's take a look at Hive here really quick. Hive is growing crazy, which is nice to see from them. Hive here, tops 15 exahash, provides July 2025 production report with 24% monthly increase in production. Hive is pleased to note that Phase 2 remains on schedule for completion before the end of summer 2025 with target of 18 exahash here. So that's awesome. It's basically this month. They have a couple more weeks to go, about 3 weeks, and they basically need to install another 3 exahash to get there. And based on their current track record of them pretty much installing 1 exahash a week, I think they might be able to do that. So that's great to see. Additionally, the company notes it mined 203 Bitcoin across its global operations in July, representing a 24% month-over-month increase driven by the accelerated deployment of Phase 2 at the company's Waigusa facility. In August to date, Hive has mined an average of 7.5 Bitcoin per day, so that's great. All right, we got the 203 Bitcoin mined. Average hash rate was 12.8 in July, reaching a peak of 15.1 exahash. And then accelerating towards 25 exahash by American Thanksgiving. This is from Frank Holmes, the co-founder and executive chairman. With our hyperscaling strategy in full motion, management believes we remain firmly on track to reach 25 exahash by the American Thanksgiving, which we expect to yield 12 Bitcoin per day in production. So that's looking pretty good for them as well. They definitely will help them out, I believe. All right, let's take a look at their numbers here really quick as well for them. Hive here, if we go to Hive here, right now they have about 165 million shares outstanding that we can figure. Market cap 347 million there, and performance over the last 12 weeks has not been great, similar to kind of what CleanSpark is. Kind of. They're up only 10% from 12 weeks ago. From 8 weeks ago, they're up 1%. From 4 weeks ago, they're down 11%. And then last week, they were down 10.5% here. Current hash rate, 15.1 exahash. Future hash rate, 25 exahash. Still about 10 exahash of growth left there, so that's looking good. Bitcoin HODL, I don't know where their HODL is. They don't report it anymore. So this is just a guesstimate of the last time they reported. Could be less, could be more. We don't know. We'll find out when they report the quarterly results there. Bitcoin production here. Love seeing this, right? The nice growth here since April, basically. May was 139, June 164, July 203. Nice, steady growth as they increase their hash rate there. That's awesome to see. Monthly mining revenue also very, very nice to see here. 23 million now in July, looks like. That's basically like 3 months of their prior quarter. If you look at that from January through March, you're looking at roughly, close to it, but not exactly, but almost three months there. So that's nice. Bitcoin HODL, like I said, I don't know where they are right now. It could be 580, 610. Don't know what that is. Hash rate growth here, definitely nice growth. We talked about that, right? Getting to 15. They had about almost 3.7 exahash added here in July, which is nice. Monthly BTC sold. I'm guessing they sold everything here because we don't know. BTC per exahash efficiency, 13.44. Still really good there. On that one, and Bitcoin sold value, they sold pretty much everything there as it is. Institutions and analysts did decrease here, along with the number of shares and percentage-wise. So 147 institutions now. Shares went down to 39 million, and percentage owned went down to 20.7. We still have the 6 strong buy ratings, 2 buy ratings, 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sells. Price target stayed the same for the high at 11. Average went up just a little bit to 669, and the low stayed the same at $4 for them right now. The new machines here that were operating in July were running for on average 20 days. I'm guessing somewhere around there. The rest of the machines were running for about 28.86. So really good operational uptime here from them. So it's nice to see. We'll see where they come in at for August and September. August historically is a pretty hot month all over the place here. So we'll see how much curtailing happens at that point. Maybe we'll see. But that got us up to our numbers here for the month. We multiplied that times 12. I'm also including in this estimate here, right, future estimates with HPC of 1 million a month. That seems to be the run rate, at least right now. That could have updated here, but we'll see. So I'm looking at possibly 292 million for them, almost 293 million run rate right now as it is. So if we're looking at that, I even lowered their PE here. I discounted them a little bit because they don't have any operations in the United States. So even if with the lowered PE going forward at 50% net, I'm in between 885 to 1327, somewhere around there. They're at 210. Are they undervalued? Yeah. Is it because they don't have any operations in the United States? I think that is also the case. Right. So we'll see how they do going forward, and will they get the love from investors? I think them being for reporting purposes, they have an office here in the United States. I think that will help. They might be able to drive some institutional interest into them because of that, but not having any operations in the United States might be a detriment to them a little bit. So we'll see. Other than that, I love the growth. I love how they're operating their operations. Great uptime as usual for them. And we'll see how they do going forward. Getting to 25 exahash here is going to be really sweet for them, I think, by the end of Thanksgiving. So that will definitely help out. And we'll see what kind of... they also bought a data center in Canada there, right? This was about a month ago or so. So we'll see what kind of revenues they start getting from that as well. So it's going to be interesting to watch them play out. All right, that is it. That's all I got for you guys here on all this stuff here. A lot of data, obviously. I didn't have a chance to look through any of the positive, bullish stories on Bitcoin because I had to plug in all the data here for these guys, for the three companies here. So that took a lot of my time there. So if we have any positive news, we'll talk about it on Monday when I'll be back, because I'm going to be gone tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. I'll be back on Monday. At least I should be back on Monday. Then we'll cover it at that point. But in the meantime, let's get into Q&A here. As always, spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. Greatly appreciate you guys there, along with all you YouTube members as well. Love you all for the support. And yeah, link for that is on the description. It's a couple bucks a month. All right, let's get into Q&A here. So what you guys have to say on any of this stuff. What were your thoughts on Cipher and CleanSpark and Hive? And we'll see here. All right, I'm going to scroll up as always. If you guys could preface the questions with the question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. And let me see, where are we with things here right now? Oh boy, there's a lot of comments here. Kaz says, leave a like for Seb. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Nick Lee says, CleanSpark fly tomorrow? You don't know. It depends where Bitcoin goes, right? We'll see where that ends up at being. Let me see here. All right, 6737 question. What is your price target for Hive if it hits 25 hash rate? If it hits 25 hash rate at that point, they're at, it's not too far off. That's only roughly, 9, 10 exahash from where they are right now. I would think they would be even higher than where I currently have them, right? So maybe around $12 or something like that, if not a little bit higher. But that's if they can get the love. For your cycle says, CleanSpark story continues to be stale with no compelling reason to own. The reason to own is maybe, there's a couple of reasons, right? Historically, they've been one of the best Bitcoin miners out there. They had a little bit of a hiccup, I think, here in July. We'll see if that gets remedied into August. We'll see. But they have a nice hollow position. They're not diluting, so that's another reason to do it. I think they've gotten close to scale there. They need to go a little bit more to help cover the depreciation and things like that. But there's quite a few reasons, I think. Right? They can mine Bitcoin at a much lower cost. So I think there's quite a few. Omar says, CleanSpark only disappoints. CleanSpark did, remember when it ran nicely in 2024, outperformed all these guys here. I don't know also if these convertible notes are of use to shareholders, right? Yes, the dilution gets pushed back out for a couple of years, but man, I don't know if that's having an impact on the stocks here, on some of these guys at least. That might be something to think about there. YKY, unfortunate to see that earnings did nothing to CleanSpark and Mara, SBET, and BMNR are better proxies. That's dependent on Ethereum, right? If Ethereum goes up nicely, they should as well, but how much of a premium should they get also? So, let's see here. Cobra, CleanSpark management is killing the stock with huge remunerations. Bradford is in line to up to 40 million this year for what? Is he up to almost 40 million? I didn't think it was that high. Maybe I'll have to take a look at that. Let's see, what else we have here? All right. Mike's Life and Fitness asked, do we get an AI deal announced from IREN or Cipher this year? That, I don't know. That's anybody's guess right there. A lot of people seem to think there will be. Is this a way for them to keep us interested when approaching the bear market and then you get racked? Your thoughts? That's if we have a bear market, right? A lot of people are starting to think that we may not have the bear market like we historically have had with Bitcoin. If that's the case, that would be definitely good. If we don't have a bear market, it would be good for not only Cipher, IREN, but also the other miners, CleanSpark, Mara, everybody. involved, because then they wouldn't be going down, 70, 80%, 90% in the bear market. Plus, they could possibly have continued good quarterly results where they're generating a lot of revenue as well. That could help them out. So we'll have to wait and see on that one though. CORZ says miners are using retail as cash cows. A lot of them are, yep, for sure. At least it seems like it. I'm not saying that's the fact, but it seems like it. Kaz, question, thoughts on white fiber IPO? How the outlook of this stock? Well, I mean, they're generating, what are they generating right now with white fiber? $80, $100 million a year, roughly, I think. Last I heard about it. So what does that entail as far as valuation, right? How much of a premium should they get? I think the reason that Sam did it is to possibly have that be valued at a higher multiple than what it's being valued at right now with the combined company. So that's why they're spinning it out. So we'll see. I don't know. Will they get the same kind of multiple as some of the other data center plays? Maybe, maybe not. Time will tell. All right. Mortem says, Cipher and Hut down on earnings today. Riot down 17% on earnings. Mara down 3% on earnings. Yeah, it's just, I mean, Bitcoin's been kind of flat or actually going down a little bit. That didn't help out. And Bitcoin starting out the month in the red didn't help out either. Let's see, Kevin says, CleanSpark as a company are doing what they have set out to do. The company's performing, the stock price isn't. CleanSpark is trading at $3 billion, which is price to book of 1. There's no premium for the performance. I agree with you there. Right? That's why I still own a bunch there. Eventually I think it will get some love there. All right. Nick Lee says, don't worry, CleanSpark should have a nice day tomorrow. Okay, well, that would be nice. But Digital Wi-Fi IPO today could have affected the price. Was that today or is that tomorrow? I don't really follow that one, so I'm not sure. Let's see. CleanSpark has only 2 catalysts. Executives not scamming profits into their personal wealth. BTC blowing off violently to the upside. Okay. All right. Brett asks, what's up with these miners? I wish I knew. I really wish I did know. Right now, it just seems like they're following kind of Bitcoin a little bit. Some days they outperform it, some days they don't. Today, I mean, a lot of the miners were following the Russell 2000. It's like, go figure. When are you jumping ship? Not yet. I think there's still maybe some good run here in the next 5 months or so. Let's see. CORZ says, people need to wake up to CleanSpark operational cost. Only 39 is left in the cycle. I don't think we're going to only have 39 days, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Miners won't move until rate cuts. Well, that would be next month potentially. That would be great. Bitchin82, question, why is IREN primarily only miner that can be profitable? Is being based non-USA decreased greed level somehow, so less employee compensation? I don't know if it's that. I think it's one, there's a couple of things I think. One is they have a really low cost of electricity, which helps tremendously there, right? And the other thing is, I don't know if they're depreciating their machines over a longer period of time. Let's take a look at that, what IREN reported here for last quarter at least, compare it to one of the other guys here. So if you look at IREN here really quick, let's see if I can find that depreciation really quick for them. Liabilities, revenues, depreciation, amortization. Okay, let's see. This was for Q3 for them, which was our Q1, I believe. Let me go here. They reported 47.4 million, and at that point they were at, what was the hash rate on them? They were at 37 exahash, right? Let's take a look at CleanSpark here. So that was 47 million? Right? Did I say that right? Go down here. Where did I see it? Depreciation. Yeah, 47 million. Okay. 47 million at 37 exahash. CleanSpark here in the prior quarter, Q2, reported depreciation of, let's go down here. Payroll, impairment, depreciation of 78 million. So there's a big difference there, 37 and 78 million on depreciation. I'm wondering if, well, that is going to be one part of it, right? 78.9 million, and they were at, where were they at in that quarter? They were, hash rate, ending hash rate was at 42, so pretty close also, right? At the end of Q1. So there's that difference also with that. I don't know if some do it for 3 years, some do it 4 years, some do it 2 years, some do it 5 years. It's like, go figure, trying to figure this stuff out. I wish it was all uniform, but that's kind of the little minutia that you got to go through, unfortunately, with some of these guys, is look into all those details. That's one of the things that I spent today as well, looking into it. I was like, are they doing the same depreciation levels or not? right? Because they were buying the machines at right around the same value there. So it's kind of like, why aren't they being depreciated closely to each other? And it just could be the timetable that they're using on it. Okay. All right. So that's that. And plus, IREN also has the GPUs, right, that they're depreciating as well. So that should be probably even more, because those things are really expensive. But yeah, that's one of the things. Let's go back. Okay, talked about that. Chuck says, CleanSpark hasn't performed at all since the offering. I think people are not buying CleanSpark. Management won't do another offering diluting shares. Yeah, right now they don't have to. It looks like they can fund operations and growth from just regular operations. So that's kind of good there, right? They're the only ones that haven't been diluting since November of last year, and they still can't get the love for it. Let's see. Remember when IREN was moving 40% in a day? We don't get anything like that anymore until rate cuts. Okay, well, that's only a month away. I can wait. I'm sure you guys can too. Let's see. Do you know why Digital was down a lot? BTBT? Was it down a lot? I thought it was actually, it was down like 17%, wasn't it? I was looking at too many things here. BTBT, 14%. It was down 14%. I don't know if it's because of the IPO there that's coming out. And I believe that the shareholders of Digital do not get any shares of the white fiber there. So that might be part of it, I think. That's the only thing I can really think of right now. All right. Let's see, what else do I have here? All right. 4-year cycle says CleanSpark is fairly valued. They're not like Sebastian thinks. Why is the management buying back shares? Why would you buy back shares, though? I don't see the need for that. You're in growth mode still. You don't want to buy shares back. At that, you want to spend the money on growth, right? At the point you want to buy back shares when you have no further growth left to go and you got nothing else to do with your cash. That's when you do dividends. That's when you do buy back shares. You do that with the cash, right? Because you have absolutely no idea what else to do with the money. So that's at the point that you would buy back shares. Let's see. Brett says, what's the point of these miners if they just consistently underperform BTC? Well, the thought process was that they were going to outperform like they did last cycle. Maybe not to the same extent, but still better than Bitcoin here. We've only had so far 1 to 2 maybe miners that have outperformed Bitcoin, which was IREN and CORZ Scientific as well, and at times BitDeer as well. So it also depends on timetables. When are you looking at it? At times, CleanSpark even outperformed Bitcoin last year, right? This time it's just been beaten down, it seems like. Brett says all these spreadsheets. Yeah, we'll see if it's all for nut. If the miners don't outperform in the next 5 months or something, then it was maybe all for nut. But I'm still up 100% on these guys, so I can't complain. Would I have liked to have been up 3x or 5x? Sure, but we still have a couple more months to go. Ready. Okay, let's see. Do you think CleanSpark should sell all their BTC mined each month to spend 1/2 expanding and 1/2 buying back shares? They are criminally undervalued. Again, I think they should, if they're going to do that, I think they should do that for growth, not to buy back shares, right? Yeah, that's just kind of my thought process on it. Let's see. 4-year cycle says exit the miners and go to ETH or BTC treasuries. But even some of the BTC treasuries are not performing that well this year compared to Bitcoin. I don't know. Let's see. Brett says, I think the moral of the story here is public mining stocks are complete garbage. I don't think they're complete garbage. I think it's just there's a lot more on-ramps, and we'll see. All right, let's talk about this in the next 5 months. At the end of this year, we'll see where the miners are, and then we'll see if there's complete garbage. I think right now we're still in the middle of the cycle here, potentially, and we'll see where they end up at. I'm still positive on these guys. All right, Kaz says very happy about ETH today. Yeah, ETH did great. Let's see. Let's see. Miners are outperforming treasuries the last 3 to 4 months a ton for your cycle. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I mean, we could probably look at strategy, what strategy has done in the last 3 months, and compare that to what some of the miners have done from the bottom of Trump's tariffs when he announced those in April. Let me see, where's MicroStrategy here? MicroStrategy going back to probably May, April. see, April 9th, we had was right there. I mean, they bottomed out. Let's take a look at it here. Instead of me trying to explain it to you guys, here's MicroStrategy, right? So kind of bottomed out here Tuesday, the 8th of April, which was a couple of days after the tariffs were announced. And then it's gone up here to the top. It's gone up 92%. All right, so a pretty nice run there. Right now it's up 70%. It came back down to about 54% from here. So it's been kind of all over the place here as well. Right, if we take a look at IREN here, really quick. IREN at April bottomed out around 5 something. This thing's up like 300%, right? At least this is one of them. But it's done fairly well. To the top, it's got up 300%. Right now it's back up to 53%. So that has outperformed. CleanSpark has done also pretty good, not too badly here from the bottom, more or less on the 7th of April, got up to a high of 110%. So similar to MicroStrategy there a little bit. And it's come back down to 62%. Now it's up 75% from there. So it's a little bit mixed on some of these guys here. Who else can we take a look at? Bitfarms. Bitfarms just had a nice little rally here as well. It's up probably 100% from 60 some cents up to the top, about 100%. Who else? Cipher was another one that's had a pretty nice run up here as well. That one is from the bottom here to the top was up 260, 276%. It came down here recently. It's 158%. So some of these guys are outperforming, at least MicroStrategy. I don't know about the other players in the space like Metaplanet. Let's see where Metaplanet was at really quick. Metaplanet had a huge run here. This is from April there. Let's take a look at that one. That one went from here to, that one definitely outperformed 551%. It's come back down. Here's now, what, 250% here. So kind of similar to what Cipher and IREN has done, more or less. Yeah, so it just all depends on who you get into. And sometimes these things get pumped up a little high and then come back down here. So not an easy place to be in. It's a lot of fluidity. A lot of things are moving quickly too. All right, let's go back to Q&A here. We got a lot to cover. Let's see, talked about that one. Alexander asked, will we get out 2% tomorrow on CleanSpark? Maybe. We'll see. Trying to find other questions here. You guys are having an interesting conversation as well. All right. Gary's got a question. CleanSpark operation loss in Q4 was 6 million. Q1 was 14 million. Q2, 22 million. When each quarter they were expected to be profitable, they are going in the wrong direction. Yeah, but that was, again, right? Depreciation, I think, had a huge impact on it this time around. I didn't expect it to be that high. And if you look at, like we just looked at just a second ago, IREN, and maybe we should probably look at the other ones. What is the depreciation on these guys based on per? There's an idea. I just came up with an idea. Okay, what we'll do is we'll take a look at when all these guys are done reporting. What we'll do is take a look at the depreciation value. What are they valuing their stuff at? Depreciation per exahash. Depreciation per exahash. And see where each one is coming in at, right? What are they valuing that at? That might be kind of interesting to see. Because I am seeing some disparities there between certain companies. So we'll see. Talk about that one. All right. SH, hi Seb. Do you know how much a company can charge for each megawatt in HPC AI data center hosting? I think it's per megawatt. Oh gosh. I want to say that they're charging like $2 per kilowatt. I think something like that. Right, because I've heard that before where it's huge profit margin. I think it's like $1.50 to like $1.50 to like $2.50, somewhere around there, somewhere between there is what I've heard on it. But that's fully hosted, fully managed, things like that, right at that point. But you're also dealing with like a data center, like a tier 3, tier 4 data center where you have 5 nines of uptime. So you have all that extra cost because it costs you between 8 to 12 million per megawatt to build out, compared to the miners, which cost them between 300 and like 500,000 to build out. Some are actually building out at like 700,000. So there's a huge difference in that, and that's why you can get a little bit of a premium on that. Gary says, Seb, we can stop saying CleanSpark are on the same level as IREN. yeah, IREN's got a better cost when it comes to mining. I've been saying that all along, right? Operational wise, they've all been pretty close as far as operational uptime and things like that. We do have a little bit of variance here from July. We'll see if it evens out on August here. But other than that, the cost is a big thing. So yes, cost wise, yes, IREN is better. All right. What else? Sorry, I was trying to find some questions here. Okay. For Your Cycle says, there's zero reason to ever own CleanSpark, trash companies scamming executives. Well, then that would be the case for everybody, right? For all the miners here. Well, gosh, you guys are having definitely a heated conversation there. Let's see. Neil, where's that? Neil, no one, I repeat, no one questions Seb. That means no one, they question me all the time. All right. MJS says, is it time to move on from CleanSpark? I personally don't think so, but I mean, if you can't stomach it anymore with the way the stock has been performing, I wouldn't blame you, right? I'm willing to give it a little more time. We'll see where they go by the end of the year. What else we got here? Nick Lee says, every time I found people mad at CleanSpark, it will rebound drastically in the next day or two. Well, that would be good. I haven't paid attention to that, but that'd be kind of interesting to see if that was actually the case. All right. Let's see. Boy, there's a lot of comments here. Sorry, trying to find some questions again, going through it. Let's see, Gary says, said people are getting tired of you shilling CleanSpark. They keep missing and losing money, but you keep making excuses for them. You're becoming as bad as Rex. Well, if you think that, you're open to your own opinion. I look at the numbers there. I think numbers are still good. Are they the best at everything? No, right? There's companies that are better at them. Like I said, with costs, operational-wise, they've been really good here. Looking over the last 12 months of operational updates, they've scored the highest out of pretty much everybody there on average. So, yeah, they're not going to be great at everything on it, but they're still growing here, which is nice, right? So if they continue to grow, that's going to help them out as well. I still have faith there. But I'm also in IREN, right? I love IREN as well. I'm still in Bitfarms. I think there's maybe some hope for Bitfarms still left. So it's just I'm not on just in one stock. I own a little Mara too. We'll see where that one goes. Let's see. Mr. X says, lots of bitter people here. They must be bag holders and not a believer in what they are investing in. Maybe better yet, swing trading, gambling, not investing. Well, could be that. All right. Let's see. Star Melon says, selling $400 million worth of other miners tomorrow. Wow, if you got that much cash, congrats to you. Ryan says, if you didn't buy any Bitfarms, still time. They're still way under. I agree. Let's see. Nick says, expecting a 10% upward move for CleanSpark tomorrow. 10%? That'd be nice. Freedom 33 says, come on now. CleanSpark is never covering their expenses. They can't even cover them as is. They need to start replacing their fleet within 12 to 24 months. Not necessarily, and the reason I say that is because Bitcoin continues to go up, depending on how fast the network hash rate goes up. But when you got companies like IREN, right, pausing Bitcoin mining expansion at 50 exahash, Riot at 45 now, they've kind of upped that a little bit. You got others as well that are not growing. That might be a good thing in the long run for some of these guys that are just pure playing Bitcoin miners, because at that point the network hash rate might not go up as crazily. And if Bitcoin does have a different cycle this time around where it's an extended cycle, it could be really good for them, potentially. Time will tell. Okay. All right, so I've got a question here. How are miners still not profitable at 117,000? This is ridiculous. Again, cash flow, they're positive, right? But if you take out, if you include the share-based compensation along with the depreciation, the depreciation thing is interesting, right? Again, like I said, are they depreciating over 3 years, 2 years? Are some others depreciating over 4 or 5 years? And that's kind of how they can possibly do that. I don't know. Right, but I always try to look at cash flow, right? Are they cash flow positive? Depreciation is another thing that's, it's for tax purposes and things like that. Okay, WPS asks question, do we think that the depreciation is a way to keep from paying taxes? I think, it is used as for tax purposes, right? It's a way to cut your gains against your depreciating asset. So it's there for a reason. Let's see, Ruben says, miners are dead. Dead money, treasuries were definitely the play here. Potentially. But the cycle's not over yet. You guys are all talking like the cycle's over with, and Bitcoin's going into a bear market, and we're going to be going down 70% in the next year. I don't think that's still the case. Let's see. Spin Second Serve asks, Seb, if you didn't have property taxes, would you buy CleanSpark now? With the way they are, and I think I can at least get maybe a 2x out of this thing, I would probably buy. Yeah, I think it's being valued at basically 1x on book value or whatever it is, right? Market cap is $3 billion. Their assets and everything else is like $3.1 billion. Yeah. All right. Sorry, trying to keep up. Bear with me. I'm trying to keep up with all the comments and questions here. George says, if you're not happy with CleanSpark, go invest in something else. Absolutely. That's the wonderful thing about the stock market. If you're not happy with something, you can go into something else. That's also freedom there. B82 says, buy Hive. Again, I love Hive. I just don't know if they're going to get rewarded for not being in the United States with operations. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Brett says, no reason to go over spreadsheets. They're poop. Okay. Well, if you think they're poop, nobody's forcing you to be here, my friend. Right? Why you waste your time here when you can be spending it for something else? Maybe more productive. All right. What else we got here? Gary says, CleanSpark will go red on earnings loss today. May take the miners as a group down. Even the fake FSB isn't helping after hours. Okay, and we'll see what it does tomorrow, Gary. Brett says, CleanSpark going to 8 tomorrow. All right, we'll see. Well, you guys are definitely a bunch of pessimists there. You got to be more optimistic. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name here. Tae Hong, I think. Question, own both CleanSpark and IREN. Will you sell CleanSpark and move them to IREN? No. Oh. I think eventually CleanSpark will get its bid. I don't know what it's going to be, but I believe it's still going to happen sometime later on this year. So I'm holding. Benny says, Cipher definitely getting a deal very soon. The CEO call was promising. They said they are very far into negotiations. Okay, yep. That's kind of what I've also read as well. So that's, maybe a good thing there. We'll see. What else? Ryan's got a question here. Can you explain why you believe we are going to break the traditional 4-year cycle and into an extended bull run? How high is your conviction and why? All right, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is the cycle that we've seen here recently. One, getting to a new all-time high in Bitcoin, 73,000 before the halving event. That has never happened before prior cycles. The other thing is the recent pullbacks that we have seen here were extended, right? It's taken us 4 or 5 months to go down 30%. And that's happened twice already in the past year. So that's another reason for it. Before, when we were running hot. Bitcoin would run up nicely, and then we would, correct 30, 35% within a matter of days, if a week at most. And then we'd continue to go back up. So that's the other reason there. Volatility is coming down on Bitcoin as well. That's the third reason. Then we have the fourth reason, which is institutions, right? Countries possibly buying it, ETFs, 401ks not possibly being able to do it as well. You got all these other reasons. I could probably list, 7 to 10 things that are way different from what we've seen in the prior cycle. So that's why I'm thinking, with all that's happening here now, we could be going into an extended cycle. Well, not really an extended cycle. I think it could be just a normal market cycle where things go up over time as things get more expensive, right? We get the fiat being debased all the time, right? Inflation. Instead of having this kind of huge bull run and bear market in Bitcoin, I think it's becoming more institutionalized, more adopted. It's just going to slowly track its way up to $1 million and then more. But that's kind of why I'm thinking about it. Let's see. All right. It's hello, Seb. Been a while, not been able to catch you live. Was following you offline. Appreciate your time with the community. Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you for coming back in. Great to see you. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. Victor's got a question here. Which one you think more upside, BMNR or SBET? I would think BMNR. BMNR has got Tom Lee in there along with Kathy Woods. I think she's invested in that as well. So I would say, I know Tom Lee wants to get like, what, to 5% of the supply of Ethereum there. So he's going to be active in that. He's going to want to pump that thing up. Okay. B82 says, what logic is there to own infers as a proxy to BTC? Seems with ETFs, there is no reason to hold for proxies. Miners need to stand on their own ability to produce profits. Yeah, I agree with you there. Right? The proxy belief was always that they could mine it at a lower cost. But then we've had CEOs get more and more wealthy on the backs of shareholders, unfortunately, and then I don't know if that might play a part of it into it. Let's see. Pitt says CleanSpark 19 by November, second week. Okay. Freedom question: what good is tracking fundamentals when you ignore bad fundamentals? I look at both fundamentals. You may not agree with them, but I'm always more positive on the positive side instead of being a Debbie Downer on things. You know, what's the good thing? Bad things can be fixed. So I don't look at it that way. Okay. Guy says CleanSpark can reach to $20 until September. I don't know if it's going to reach $20 in September. I mean, Bitcoin goes up nicely here in August. Might get close, but then again, CleanSpark would have to follow here, right? Okay, let's see. Ryan says, I believe technical analysis has been irrefutable in the long-term 4-year cycles, while fundamental analysis is temperamental. Okay? I mean, you might be right there. We'll see where we end up at this time next year, right? Are we going into a bear market at that point? I don't know. Based on what I'm seeing here, I'm thinking it's going to be an extended cycle, but I could be wrong. All right. B82's got a question here. Why should miners get any premium if they are unable to mine at a profit? Global hash continues to climb, which only makes it worse for the miners. Well, they mine at a profit if you look at cash costs. When you include also depreciation, right, and stock-based compensation, that's when things get a little bit more interesting. But I like to look at, if you take out depreciation, right, on it, depreciation is basically, my understanding is just for tax purposes, to lower your own tax burden for the most part, because already the miners have been bought and paid for with shareholders, shares more or less, dilution, and you're kind of, in my view, you're kind of double tapping that a little bit. You know, you're diluting there, and then you're also putting it down again. It's kind of like, all right, it is what it is. So I like to look at just cash costs. With cash costs, a lot of these guys are still, well, at least IREN and CleanSpark should be profitable with cash costs on it, not including depreciation and share-based compensation as well. All right. See, Brett says you'll be lucky to see 12. Well, with CleanSpark, we already saw 13 here just a couple of weeks ago. So, all right. George says quarterly earnings came out today and they were good. They were good. They weren't that bad. Angie, hi Seb. I'm thinking about rotating out of CleanSpark and wanted your perspective. What's the main reason you're still holding it instead of moving into IREN? I own IREN too, so IREN's had a nice run up here. Could IREN run up even more? Sure, right? But I want to see where CleanSpark ends up at the end of the year here. I think Bitcoin gets to 200,000 by the end of the year. I think CleanSpark's going to be much higher from where it is right now. And with my low cost on it, that's why I'm holding on to it. So that's kind of the reason why. All right, Mr. X, Mara, right, Hut 8 all had good earnings, right? How much confidence do we have that CleanSpark good earnings will break this pattern? Well, we'll see tomorrow, right? Today was down, actually. It was up a little bit in the after hours. So we shall see. Let's see. B82 says, question, is depreciation and corporate tax model between USA and Australia part of the difference how IREN reports versus other miners? IREN, I think, well, they're reporting on the, what is it, the IF something system, whereas U.S. miners are reporting on the GAP system. So there is some difference there, but I don't know if that's enough to make a difference for that. I think the depreciation side of thing is the one that's questionable for me, is how many years are they using depreciation at IREN? And I think CleanSpark is using like 3 years depreciation, if not less. That's why they're paying, you're seeing more value on the depreciation side for CleanSpark than IREN there. All right. Kron says, all the complaining about CleanSpark tells me we're at or close to the bottom. That's one way to look at it also, right? So if you have a lot of fear in the market on one particular stock, it might be the bottom there, right? Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. All right. All right. DeFly, CleanSpark staking 40% of their BTC holdings. Do you think they will pay dividends? No, I do not want them to pay dividends. I want them to invest in the company. Dividends, you get dividends when companies have nothing else to do with their cash. These guys still need to grow quite a bit to get to that point. So I do not want to see that. Okay. BA2 says, IREN's my main ride after CORZ, and Hive is my long shot. Okay. Very nice. Sour says, I'm up 417% across the board on my miner holdings, so I ain't complaining. That's awesome, right? You're doing great there. Okay, Liam has a question here. Are we better off buying BTC versus miners? I would say own both, if anything, a little bit, right? But BTC, I own a bunch of BTC as well. So you got to diversify at least a little bit between the different sectors, Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners, two different sectors. Let's see. All right. Okay, there we go. So I'm talking about CleanSpark buying back their shares with their own personal money. Oh, like the, the executives, right? Are you talking about that? I mean, if they want to do that, that's fine. I think that would be a good sign, right? They're saying that the company's undervalued. They have to buy a lot. They can buy, 10,000 shares or something like that. What would that be? $10, that would be what, 100,000? Right? Am I doing the math right? Gene, hey Seb, I am wrong in thinking that the miners will essentially be the next Visa or MasterCard because they are verifying the blockchain. Without any miners, would BTC be secure? It would be. I mean, you'd go down in, well, so if there's less miners out there, the blockchain is going to basically heal itself more or less. The difficulty is going to go down, the hash rate's going to go down. So there's always like an equilibrium as far as where things go with it. It's kind of interesting, actually. But as you have less miners, it will go down, but it'll still be secure. There's going to be somebody that's going to be mining that has, low cost or something like that. Good morning out of Belgium. Wim, thank you so much for coming in. Let's see. In the last 2 weeks, which companies report earnings do you like the most? Out of all these guys here, let's see, we had, who reported? We had Riot report. Right, the Riot report. I think Riot reported. Got too many of these things going on. Mara reported as well. We had CleanSpark Cipher report, and who else reported? I think that's it right now. Out of those, I mean, CleanSpark came the closest to having a positive EPS without the HODL impact on them. So that one was probably the most encouraging. I would have liked to have seen them get positive EPS without it, but heck, we got close. Maybe one more quarter is what we need for CleanSpark. And they do need to lower their cost of electricity there as well. Let's see. Toby1 says, is it possible to call for an ambulance for all those with hurt feelings in their questions? That I don't think so. What else we got here? All right, Gary. Let's see. Are you still predicting HODL miners will outperform HPC-AI miners in 2025? You predicted that based on HPC-AI doing so much better in 2024. Geez. I'm not saying I'm taking it off the table, but based on at least historical evidence here, it might be tough. But again, if Bitcoin goes to 200,000, what is that going to mean for these other miners? I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely a different cycle than what I thought it was going to be. Let's see. Gary says, stock trader already did the conversion of making depreciation same for all miners in Q1 and IREN by far the cheapest. Okay, well, we'll take a look at it. Nick Lee question, if CleanSpark is not making money at this rate, selling Bitcoin is not enough to cover their cost. CleanSpark has to dilute again soon. No, because that's the thing. You guys don't look at cash costs, right? Based on cash costs, can they pay the operations and still have enough cash left over to fund some growth? Yeah, they do. So I don't think that's accurate there to say that they're going to need to dilute, right? They could sell a little bit more. They could sell a little bit less. Bitcoin, they're selling about, what is it now, 85% roughly. They could sell a little bit more to cover future needs and things like that. But when you include depreciation doesn't cost them anything. It just goes on the books based on the machines that they bought. They're just depreciating those. So, right, take that out. Angie says, Brett, blink twice if you're being held hostage by your own typing. Yeah, Brett's going kind of ape crazy there a little bit. Let's see, Angie. That's Rex. All right, question Mara, right? Hut 8, all had decent earnings. We covered that one. All right. See, Ethan says, I'm back in Cipher. If this doesn't pump next 6 months, I'll be out. I think a lot of us will be out if these guys don't pump. Bitcoin gets to 200,000. These guys are still lacking behind. Yeah, I think a lot of us will be out at that point. All right. All right. Let's see. Even Ethan says, I've mostly stuck to MicroStrategy and other proxies like Coin. I'm looking at Galaxy. Okay. All right. Bevanite says, question, Cipher definitely getting a deal very soon. The call was very promising. The CEO, okay, we talked about that already. Ethan says, I'm giving Cipher one last chance before giving up. Sadie, thank you so much for coming in and with the likes as always. Victor, question, once Fed cuts, miners could run. Yeah, I think so too. It's going to be risk on assets at that point. Not only miners will run, but everything else that's risk on. Martin says the main problem for miners is that BTC is 116 right now, and it was 106 on 12/16. Barely any movement after halving. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a different cycle. It's hard to be optimistic when everything else is up big and miners are down. Laughing my butt off. Well, yeah, that's just me. I'm just naturally optimistic. You said you would buy CleanSpark based on book value with logic. Isn't Mara more undervalued? With that logic, yeah, but there's also operational uptime, things like that. Mara has not been a consistent performer there. That's one of the things I look at as well. So there's not just one thing you want to look at. There's a bunch of things you want to look at. Let's see. All right, Bevin says, the truth is all these miners are crap, even IREN. They are up right now, but it's only time when they'll be down. Just get your 2x this cycle and get out. Last cycle for me, LOL. So I think IREN has a little bit maybe more potential. And then, again, do we have another bear market in Bitcoin? Don't know. We'll see. But, man, it has been easy. I'll give you guys that much. Brett says, I'm going to live in a van down by the river. Is that an old Chris Farley quote there? Okay, let's see here. Mortem says, IREN is better now. What about when CleanSpark has more exahash installed and mines more while BTC is going up? That's the other part of it. At a certain point, those things might switch again. All right, let's see. Mark says, you say CleanSpark cost of mining is just 44,000. That's the electrical cost. That can't be true. If that was the case, it would pump up hard considering BTC is near 120,000 forward-looking markets. 44,000 for electricity costs, for operational costs, basically. at that point. All in costs, I would have to run the numbers on it to see where it's at. KB Dubs question, at what point will Mara hit $80? I personally don't think it will ever. Lower highs since it hit 80 in 2021. Yeah, I mean, that's another tough one, right? Did really great in 2021. This time around, it's floundering a little bit. We'll see. All right. Let's see here. Sebastian, any thoughts on Applied Digital overvalued? I think, I don't know if it's overvalued. I think eventually Applied Digital will be bought out by CoreWeave. That's just my take on it. That's my thought process. And we'll see if that comes true or not. But I believe that CoreWeave is going to need to continue to gobble up megawatts, put it under their own control. That is the only way they can control their destiny. So I think with them having more contracts with Applied, in time, I'd say within the next 6 to 12 months, they're going to put in a bid to buy out Applied. Sorry, asking, why is everybody PO tonight? CleanSpark's earnings? Yeah, definitely does look like that. Brett asks, how many BTC you own, Seb? I'm not telling, right? You don't tell how many Bitcoin you own. Let's see, Mark says, BTC MACD on daily says we are rising all week. Okay. Let's see, Mark, do you think they will still be holding CleanSpark down if BTC goes past 120,000? I don't personally. I think we'll start slowly going back up. Okay. All right. Let's see. Balaz, I think it's how you pronounce it. What BTC price needs to have CleanSpark positive earnings? I think they need to get to 60 exahash, and Bitcoin probably needs to get to like 125, 130,000, something like that. I think at that point they might be close. I mean, they were off by just a little bit this time around. Let's see. All right. Sarmelin says, everyone used to hate IREN, and now it's the best miner. CleanSpark will follow. Yeah, these things rotate, right? So in 2024, CleanSpark was the queen there, right? Everyone wanted to basically be in CleanSpark. And then things went south, and everybody wants to be an IREN. We get this kind of rotation. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Seb, you told us how much BTC you hold a few months ago, unless you more a lot more recently. No, still the same, right? But I've been told I probably shouldn't put that out there. So that's the reason why. All right, I think I've caught up to all you guys' questions here. We're going on almost an hour, 20 minutes. Okay, I hope the sentiment changes. I hope people become a little bit more positive going forward, but man, it's tough. But I'm going to stay positive. Regardless of what you guys have to say, I'm going to stay positive. I think there's still a lot more for IREN to run. I think there's more for CleanSpark to run. Bitfarms, I think, should be valued higher from where it's at right now. And, we'll see where we are in the next 5 months by the end of the year. We'll see where Bitcoin's at that point. And then at that point, we can make a determination if all of this was for naught, right? So we'll see. We'll reevaluate everything at the end of the year. All right. But nonetheless, I love you all. I hope you guys have a great night. I'll see you guys back on Monday, right? I'm going to be off tomorrow and then Sunday. So I'll be coming back on Monday. I'll see you guys then. Yeah. And also, I'm going to be joining Ernest on Sunday. I think we got Cipher CEO there as well on the space on X. I think that's 9 Eastern, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong there. So I'll see you guys maybe there. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see you later. Bye.